Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, with the Augenblick. I think that's how you say that, either Augenblick or Augenblick Tarot. Excuse me. This is completely new to me. Has copyright 2017. New to me as in a couple of days I had never heard of it. And it was not an impulse buy. It was a trade. So I'd had the St. Croix or St. Croix for trade for a long time, and finally found somebody in Tarot Swap who was looking for it, and the only deck that she had that I was curious about was this, which again I'd never heard of it before, but it just, I don't know. Like I said, it was the only thing of hers that I really had an interest in, so I thought, all right, that's a funny looking different sort of deck. I'll give that a try. I've kind of reached the point where I've gotten so many decks. I know it's not that much it's about 100, but I know to many people that's not very much. To me it's a lot. And so, and I'm still going to get some as some that interest me come along, but it's like so many people had offered, or not so many, I guess there were like 3 had offered, and some of the people offered more than one of their decks trying to get that St. Croix, but it was either ones that I flat out wasn't interested in, or ones I already owned. And so it becomes increasingly difficult to trade anything the more decks you have or have experienced. So anyway, so this has come my way, and it's actually still in its original wrapping, which is an interesting original wrapping. And so I thought, especially since this arrived in the mail while I was working, I thought, all right, well, I'm going to wait till I'm finished with work, and I'm going to do the official snipping on air, which I never do. I usually, and it comes with this big bag, and the deck is only that big, so there will be lots of folding, or I'll put it in another bag. Obviously the book is quite large and offers quite a bit. I haven't looked at it at all. I actually just signed off of being at work and thought I'm going to just go in here and look at this deck. It's hard for me to restrain myself. But again, since this is a deck that I just didn't have strong, it's like, I don't know. It seems sort of complementary to the Majestic Earth Tarot, which I'm not all that familiar with, and could take quite some time to become familiar with, but it's kind of similar to the Tildwick, and the Tildwick always struck me as being too stately, being kind of interiors and even exteriors that I couldn't really relate to, because so isn't that a clever way to box your, I wonder where the deck creator found that option. But very cute. So let me see if I can get it. There's always a suspense whether I can get the tight wrapping off without damaging the deck. Is it possible? Looks like I might have an in right here. Okay. So there we have, oh, it feels nice. And I've got a dog barking in the distance, so I might have to close. Probably have to yell at him. And then close the door to this room. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting deck. I kind of wish the, yeah, I'm going to say it like so many people say that the images weren't larger. I like a square deck, but Rufus, hush. Yes, so I like a square deck. But I think my instinct, the cards don't necessarily need to be bigger, but I would have maybe tried to have zoomed in on this a little bit, but then maybe you would lose. But I think I could lose some of this. But anyway, there I go, second guessing the deck creator, and I probably shouldn't be doing that. So the Fool. The Magician. And I know that in the book, it gives you where these are. Like this is a World Fair Expo, which is appropriate for the Magician. Otherwise, I wouldn't get it. I would have no idea. And the High Priestess. It's kind of cool to think of the tree as the High Priestess, but, you know, I see this up here. There's no person in there that I can see. But just sort of her High Priestess sanctuary there, which is up high above the water. So I don't know. I won't try to analyze all of these. We've got the garden for the Empress. So there's the Emperor. Now there's another card really similar to this that is one of, I think, the Queens. So that's a little odd. The Hierophant, yes, the Cathedral, of course. The Lovers. My goodness. Like the carriage from Cinderella or something. Interesting Strength card. Really cool Hermit card. This kind of amuses me in terms of the ups and downs of the wheel. It's like, will it work or won't it work? We've had this big scheme. Will it work or won't it work? The Halls of Justice, presumably. Again, I would have to look in the book to see what Hall of Justice that was. Hanged Man. So this one, yeah, it's a drawbridge. So this one I have some questions about. I'll have to look at the book. Death, oh my goodness, there they are, the skulls and piles of skulls. Maybe the cataloging even of skulls, which is, you know, with that little desk there. Looks like there's some study going on, which is interesting because we usually think, or I usually think of death as kind of the wiping things clean. But this is like this kind of the study also. What happened? We're going to study the past. We're going to analyze these skulls instead of just getting rid of it. Temperance. Lots of water anywhere. Squirting all over. Makes me wonder what the star will look like. The Devil. Now this one I don't quite get unless this particular place has a name that has to do with the devil. Like the Devil's Narrows or something like that. I don't know. The Tower. The Star. I get that is a waterfall. It's like pouring repeatedly, like, you know, the two jugs pouring, but I don't know. So somewhere, either I think on her website, when I was trying to make a decision whether I even wanted to make the trade, I think it said this is from the library. These are images from the Library of Congress, the U.S. Library of Congress, but they are clearly from all over the world. The moon. So I'm guessing there's a moon shining in there. I don't know. To me, it looks like a sunny, cloudy day. But I'm willing to do some suspension of disbelief there. The sun. I don't know if this is the Temple of Apollo or something. Judgment. Yeah. Again, I'll have to read up on it. Maybe this is a courtroom. I mean, I see it looks like seats here. So maybe they're taking that tack on judgment as opposed to you know, the raising of the dead, judgment day, the biblical judgment day. The world. The Ace of Cups. Looks like there, no, that looks like that. So something, there might be fountains, but nope. Two of Cups. Gondola. Venice. Three of Cups. Four. This looks like a cistern or something. It definitely gives a feeling of stagnation. I'll give it that, definitely. The Five of Cups. So this, not the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, I don't get, except for it empty, the empty boat, maybe a feeling of emptiness. The Six of Cups. I think it's just the fact that it's a kitchen, it's a home. Seven of Cups. This I don't find a Rider-Waite-Smith meaning in it. So I'll have to read in the book. And you know, getting something like this, I don't expect all of the cards to fit into that. I like this as the Eight of Cups. Like the need to go on a journey, which kind of is the way I take a soul-searching journey, is the way I take the Eight of Cups. I know not everybody does. And so this kind of provides that, even though it has nothing at all to do with water. The Nine of Cups. So this strikes me as a tavern. So that works for me. The Ten of Cups. I suppose this is the whole family here. And it's interesting because it almost takes it out of the whole family. It could be any other sort of group that you associate with. You know, it could have been a company picnic. The Page of Cups. Preparing to go on a solitary water journey. The Knight of Cups. Is there a little bit of a rainbow in there? Not sure. But he's standing in there and he's just crossing. To me, he's less leisurely. He looks like he's going to go for a leisurely canoe trip. Whereas, yep, he's a knight. He's headed somewhere. Stopping briefly at the water. And on to drier territory. Queen of Cups, and she's actually in there. Which is interesting, you know, this would maybe put her either as a sojourner herself, because that looks like it's the kind of ship that would transport people, passenger ship, or she's going to greet people who have been traveling. The King of Cups. Interesting. The Ace of Pentacles looks like the Roman Colosseum there, but you know, you've got that big circle. So interesting. And it's all stones. Two of Pentacles. Well, here we're getting somebody to share the burden. The Three of Pentacles. I don't get, to me this is maybe a little bit too much like the Three of Cups. Because I don't see them cooperating on anything unless I'm missing something. Might be able to see even the Three of Cups is a little bit more, because they look like they were, what are they doing there? Nope, they just look like they're passing the time. Here we go, the Four. Maybe these are, maybe that's supposed to be like the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe these are treasure chests. Five of Pentacles. Well, I can't see it well enough. Oh, that's another one where I'll have to learn about what it is before I'll understand the association. The Six of Pentacles. Well, this person has her hand out, so maybe that's what it is. It's unclear to me whether she's giving something. Looks like she's got something in her hand, or whether she's accepting something. The Seven of Pentacles, you've got the harvest there waiting for you. The Eight of Pentacles. I guess this is just standing for all of the work that had to have gone into that. And it is very repetitive, you know, a lot of the same forms repeating throughout in order to make this grand building. The Nine of Pentacles, do we have? There might be a little figure. There might be a person, I'm not sure. Certainly a glorious greenhouse. The Ten of Pentacles. This could be like, well, it looks like a day at the races or something. With the grandstand in the background and everything. So a larger community than simply your family, but it won't be the only deck that's interpreted that card to be a larger community than one's family. The Page. So we have some people here. Do we have anybody out there? No. Interesting. The Knight of Pentacles. To me, this is like seeing how the other half lives and deciding whether or not that's something you want. The Queen of Pentacles. This is interesting because, you know, in a standard Rider-Waite-Smith, I take the Queen of Pentacles to be actually quite introverted and wanting to have only to do with her little garden and her little bunny rabbit and stuff like that, whereas this person is looking outward, is more strikes me as more community oriented and outgoing than I would normally take a Queen of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles. Well, it's interesting to think of the King of Pentacles as a mansion, and we've got a phallic symbol here, so it would be a king, wouldn't it? The Ace of Swords. These are just a tad slippery, so I'm gonna maybe because they got the sharp pointy objects here. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Definitely have to look it up. The Two of Swords. Maybe the decisions, whether to go here, whether to go there. Three of Swords. Is it a graveyard? I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that one out in the guidebook. Four of Swords. So rest and recuperation. The reflection pond. Five of Swords. It's an interesting choice. I can almost see this more as the 8 because you've got a little bit of water, and it looks like they're standing or walking in a tidal area, which they would have to evacuate before long, and then the city in the background. But the Five of Swords, yeah, I'll have to read up on that one. The Six of Swords, kind of any old boat will do for the Six of Swords, right? Ready to depart. Seven of Swords. Very interesting. Just an interesting picture. Maybe the idea is that they're stealing something underneath their gowns there. I don't know. I assume there's some sort of religious figure. Or it's in a country that requires that women stay covered like that. The Eight of Swords. Love the image. Maybe just feeling squeezed into a narrow place and not having any choice. Like, you know, if you have to go ahead, then you're going to have to follow this. The Nine of Swords. I have to read up on that one. Again, I love the picture. You could see worrying about that building deteriorating any further. And the Ten of Swords. So I don't know if that's a fancy mausoleum of some kind or what. Page of Swords. So maybe his sword is an ice pick. The Knight of Swords. Owie. Yeah. It's interesting because you could think either the bull as being a Knight of Swords, in other words, you know, if they're using their capes, not able to withstand temptation or provocation. And certainly the intention, I'm sure, is that the matadors or picadors or picadors, how do you say, the people with the spears. Yep. Queen of Swords. So this is the one that's similar to the Emperor. It's the Queen of Swords, her place to sit, which looks like it's more of a couch back there. King of Swords. I can live with that. He's got a sword. And the King of Swords would want to have his himself, you know, as a monument as you walk into the city in the courtyard, so that you know that this is his place. The Ace of Wands. Not sure exactly what that is, if that's a lighthouse or what. Two of Wands. Interesting. I could see that in terms of, you know, this being, if it's in the Netherlands, kind of, you're approaching the ocean. You're, you know, so. And here you are at the Three of Wands, where you're at the ocean. There appear to be some ships here. The Four of Wands with the grape arbors. Very nice. To me, that's like the first stopping place in the house there. Kind of amusing. The Five of Wands, where the conflict is between the burro and the young man. Six of Wands, again being memorialized. I wonder, it looks like a woman. I wonder who she is, or maybe not. I don't know. I have to look it up. That headdress. I'll have to look it up. The Seven of Wands. So this is a room of armor and arms in general. I assume that these are spears and pikes and halberds and whatnot. The Eight of Wands. So I don't know what this is. Is it a factory like for textiles or something? What does it say? Machines, wheel, cock. I don't know. But lots of stuff going on all at the same time. All toward the same aims. So I could see that. The Nine of Wands. I don't get this as the Nine of Wands. The Ten of Wands. An uphill climb. So labor, certainly. Page of Wands. She does have a dreamy look about her. The Knight of Wands. Well, I'll have to figure out who it is before I'll be able to relate to that. I'm sure that's not a wand in his hand, but rather a sword. Cool Queen of Wands. The King of Wands. So I'll have to know, if this is a monument to somebody. I'll definitely have to figure out who it is before I'll understand the reference. And so this might be just an extra card, or I think there's some replacement cards in here. So extra cards. That could be maybe an extra fool. Could be used as another Page of Wands also. Another Justice, which just looks like it's a little... Oh, she did the Justice and Strength in case you want Justice as 8 and Strength as 11. So that's fair. And here she has 2 waterfalls coming for the Temperance. And I think I do prefer that as the Temperance. All right, so I'll shuffle to see how they shuffle. This is the gigantic bag that comes with it. I think muslin. So, yeah, let me do this. I'm going to put those back there, but I am going to let me find Temperance, and then I'll see how these square cards shuffle. Oh no, it was the Star. So this was Temperance. And so this is what I wanted to replace for the Star. That's my thinking. Well, we're going to do that. And somehow I think I'm creating some trouble for myself by doing that. But I won't remember that that's supposed to be the Star. I'm just going to do just a little bit of shuffling, and then I'm just going to cut the deck and pick one and read what it has to say in the guidebook. Oh, they shuffle quite nicely. All right. So I could see how some people would think that this cardstock is maybe a little too thin. But I don't think this is going to be an everyday use deck. So I'm not inclined to worry about it at this point. And it makes it, the reason I even tested that is because I thought, well, if it works for me, then it's probably going to be too flimsy for everybody else because I have kind of weak, sensitive hands. So one more. And we're going to just do that. What do we got? The Two of Wands. So let's see what it says. So even though the way it was printed had the wands last, in the book it has the pentacles last. And it seems to have the cups first, and then the wands. Okay. So it says Windmills, Holland. About the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands in the Augenblick Tarot embodies the idea of transmutation. You are at the point when the pure fire of your idea and passion must be now guided into the manifest world. How do you transmute idea into physicality? That is the concept you must now address. Expect to face a good deal of friction in this process. So maybe it's, here we go. If the windmill blades do not provide a surface against which the wind engaged, no energy would result. It is this meeting place of the air, the wind against these blades, where the idea has become reality. In the Ace of Wands, we had the impetus and original spark of imagination and passion regarding the issue at hand. The Two of Wands requires you to give it structure and begin to build whatever it is you need to bring into the world. So for me, this is a little too pentacles-ish for me. But that's all right. I'm going to continue reading. It's not how I would interpret the cards, but I'm here to see how she would interpret the cards. So the requirements highlighted in The other requirement highlighted in this card is that we must work within natural laws in order to be successful. Our engineering plan, and I would see it as a plan, our engineering plan, so to speak, must be well thought out. All the angles and blueprints and minute details need to be considered. Again, I personally would not assign that to maybe even the suit of wands in general, but if we build it flawlessly but forget to face it in the right direction, all our efforts are for naught. The appearance of this card in your reading, is prompting you to spend time on getting the details right. And I could see that for the Two of Wands to some extent. He's got that world in his hand in a regular deck. A reversed or tilting showing of this card suggests that you have been remiss in your calculation. So that's interesting. So if I do shuffle for reversals or whatever, it comes up not upright, then she's provided a meaning for that. What didn't you take into account? On the other hand, you might be plagued with self-doubt and too worried about what others may think of your idea. Or it could be that you are not using the power at your disposal in an appropriate or ethical manner. So prompt questions and things to consider. What do you need to plan out or engineer in order to accomplish your goal? What friction might actually be helping you? Are you applying your efforts in the right direction for success? Do you have the correct raw materials for your project? If it's reversed, did you miss some calculations in your planning? How might you need to rework your plan to take into account new elements? So certainly a well thought out guidebook. It's fairly meaty. I'm curious if she says why it's called Augenblick or Augenblick. So let's read it. It says, oh, she was recovering from breast cancer, and she looked like a fairly young woman from the picture on her website. Okay, so I'm reading, so I stopped reading because I'm reading really fast to see what happened. So she continued to have issues. But she suffered amnesia, something amiss with her brain. So it says, you're not going to tell me why you called it, okay, maybe it's because of, all right. So I'll read you this. Because my motor skills had declined so much, I was restricted from engaging in my usual creative outlets, such as sewing, paper crafts, and anything requiring precise hand movements. I began to do more computer-based image manipulation, working on creating a personal Lenormand deck, and also a deck of cards based on my own photography of my crystal collection. And what is her name again? Shannon Loftus. While I was looking for a specific image for the Lenormand deck, a dear friend suggested I take a look through the digitized archives of the Library of Congress. What I stumbled across in that archive would set the stage for the Augenblick Tarot. Using a Swiss-created process called photochrome, Detroit Publishing Company and the Photo Globe, GLOB, company in Zurich, Switzerland, created thousands of color images of locations, cityscapes, and people all over the world, fueling and inspiring the growth of tourism in the beginning of the 1900s. These images were sold and marketed as postcards and were also used as educational tools for schools and universities. When I came across this collection in the Library of Congress, I was stunned. There was something so striking about these photolithographs that seems to capture my attention immediately. I remember very clearly loading picture after picture and just whispering, "Oh my God." When I would see one that I liked, I was saying a lot of "Oh my God." At the time, there were 6,500 images in that particular collection, and I was looking at every single one. It wasn't until I came across the image that would eventually be used for the Six of Pentacles that I thought to myself, I can make a tarot deck out of these. And that, my friends, is the moment that led us to get here together. So she doesn't have no explanation. Why Augenblick? There it is, finally. Augenblick is a word from Middle High German, quick glance. It corresponds to Auge, like A-U-G-E, eye, plus blick, glance. When I first saw this word, I knew it would be the name for this deck. It captures the feeling of awe and reverence I experienced from that split second when a new image would load onto my screen. When I was looking for a place the magician could call home, or for how a location could effectively translate the Hanged Man, and those magical moments when I would think, this is it. So anyway, so I like her telling about her story. It's very engaging. And she actually has another deck coming out. So not soon. She's working on it. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's similar. So I don't know if she went, the tone on the cards seemed very similar to this. So I don't know if it's still going through the same collection of, 6,500 images, or whether it's other stuff from the Library of Congress. But part of the reason I decided to get this is precisely because it is just because of the art and the fact that a bunch of them are photos, and I'm an image junkie and a photo junkie, and so yeah. So, it's from all around the world, and so it's cool that way. So I look forward to getting to know this deck, but I have to be honest, like a use for it doesn't immediately come to mind. And so it is going to be warehoused for a little while. I'm already thinking, so this year I've got a deck a month that I'm getting myself familiar with. And I'm already thinking of 2021, that I need to set up my decks for 2021 that I'm going to have to get familiar with. Among those I already have. And I was thinking 2021 would be Oracle decks, but this could easily be on there. Certainly this needs to I need to do this kind of in conjunction with the Magnificent Earth. Majestic Earth deck, like 1 month right after the other. something like that. But yeah, I don't know how immediately readable it would be if well, since I've lingered this long, I've already made this video too long, so why not make it even longer, right? I'm just gonna do like I'm just gonna do a 9-card spread. I'm not even going to, and just see if I can get any relevance to my life. So this is kind of just, you know, Augenblick, just tell me about my life. Just tell me about my life, and let me see if and I'm doing a 9 card because to me that like provides a lot of opportunity to find meaning. So I feel like I'm kind of giving it a lot of chances to make meaning. So right here it's telling me that I have animals waiting for me in the kitchen to feed them their evening meal. Yes, that's true. So what is so I see this as with the Statue of Liberty here. So I'm not going to accept I'm going to try to read this intuitively, not so much as the assignments on the card, the tarot assignments. So I can see this as my political activity here. This is the, I need to move it down a little bit more maybe. So I could see that way. This, as I said, with the exception of this, I'll have to look at the 7 of Cups. I've only got 6 animals. This is the 6 of Cups. That I was curious about what that really was anyway. But then we have the 10 of Cups here. So this is about, yeah, I need to feed my, my 10 of Cups right now is all of my animals. So I need to feed my animals. This right here could be referring to our current climate, which is rain. This is the 10 of Cups, the Ace of Cups, which is rain, 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 and more rain. And my yard has like a pool of water in it, you know, it's ridiculous. And needing the Wheel of Fortune to turn, so that we're not waterlogged. I could also see this as being the torture device of the rack, because I've had some, or even this is the spine with that spiral, is that I had some pretty painful back issues earlier this week, and a chiropractor didn't quite help. Well, he didn't help with that issue. He didn't help at all with the pain issue. I finally went to a massage therapist, and she kind of set the scene by brutalizing my muscles to the best of her ability. And I've followed up with some stuff. So being on the rack, the torture rack, that's the way it's been. But I think mostly this is talking to me about the weather and it changing. But I want to look at that 7 of Cups. Well, I turned... it's the casino entrance. Oh, it's a casino where you have all of the temptations to go wrong. It's a casino at Monte Carlo. As you enter the casino, what dreams are flying through your mind is what it says. Fair enough. I don't know. Maybe my dogs are imagining something wild that I'm going to make them for their supper, when in fact it's going to just be the same old thing day after day. And this could potentially have had deeper meanings or more complex meanings. I was already seeing a potential other meaning for this. So it's promising. I think it's a readable deck. The square nature of it is getting to me a little bit. I actually cut a deck into a square at one point, and kind of liked it, so the squareness didn't put me off. But as I've taken cards out and then went to put them back in, it was messing with me a little bit in terms of how to orient them, because I wanted to keep them upright. But the backs, actually, if I look at it, the backs are not reversible. So I can always look at the backs. Anyway, there's the Augenblick or Augenblick. And I think it was a worthwhile trade for me. I think it made a lot of sense, and I'm interested in the next deck she's going to do. So yeah, I may have found a deck creator that I enjoy and might want to get more than one deck from. So very cool. There you go, everybody. If you've hung in this long, kudos to you. Thanks so much for sticking with me. Bye-bye.